Thanks for joining us today at Unstuck Your Business podcast.
You went into business with a passion to explore your skills and talents and show the world what you can do to contribute into our society and into our economic ecosystem. But a couple of years into the business, and your drive and motivation has dwindled, and now you feel stuck.
When you find yourself at this crossroad of thoughts and emotions, how do you deal with it? In this podcast, we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of entrepreneurship to help you unstuck your business. We are your hosts, Inez Nazario-Vega from Business Essentials Virtual Assistant.
And Edith Duran from Reason Marketing.
Welcome back to Unstuck Your Business. Many business owners spend years focused on growing revenue and increasing profits. But if you stepped away from your business tomorrow, what would happen? Today, we're talking about our guest, Muriel Touati, which we call the valuation gap, the difference between what founders think their business is worth and what buyers are actually willing to pay.
Muriel is the founder of Exit 3D Studio, where she helps founder-led service businesses increase their value before a future sale. What makes her perspective unique is that she's evaluated businesses from the buyer side and has seen firsthand the issues that can quietly reduce a company's value. Today, we'll discuss why founder dependency can be risky, the hidden factors that lower valuations, and what business owners can do now to build a business that's valuable, transferable, and less dependent on them. Muriel, welcome to the Unstuck Your Business podcast. We're happy to have you here today, speaking to us and our audience. And so our audience can get to know you a little bit better. Would you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your business?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me on your podcast today. I'm very excited about it. So a bit about myself. I started my journey as an entrepreneur actually a long time ago, like in 2008. But this was like a fail experience, I want to say, or I learned, but it didn't last more than a year. Then in 2017, I quit my corporate job and I started working for myself as a freelance, then a consultant in digital marketing. Then I built a program to reduce my own founder dependency. So the online course was a way for me to step back a bit from the business and not be delivering all the time to clients. And since I moved to New York in 2021, last year I wanted to establish myself a bit more here, in the sense that I was still working with a French customer base. I was still communicating in French. My YouTube channel was in French. Everything was in French. The program is in French, and I I looked what I could be doing, and I learned that I could be buying a business, potentially. So I went all in. I joined a business buying community. I learned about deal making, deal structuring, financing, everything, and deal sourcing as well, which allow me to evaluate, I would say, about 100 deal. And by evaluating, it's not just signing an NDA. It's really going deep into data rooms, normalizing the SDE, for example, the seller discretionary earning. And because often numbers that you see are a bit inflated by the seller, the business broker, and as a buyer, you need to do your own calculation to see if that match. If the business look interesting, then you make an offer. And I submitted 10 letter of intent, and I got one offer accepted. So first you see how difficult is it to get one offer accepted. And once I got that offer accepted, I did my due diligence, which was even more in depth than a simple, analysis in the data room. I found out that the business that was presented to me and that I was going to buy was not what they say it was. There was a lot of issues, and we could probably discuss, about it a bit later. But after that experience where I walked away and went through all those deals, I decided that I had, enough market data to create my own agency, Exit 3D Studio, because I was especially evaluating marketing agencies. Since I came from that world, I wanted to find one, but after studying them all and seeing the constant gaps, also from other sort of service businesses that I was evaluating, even like car wash and laundromat and others. Like I was looking at everything at the beginning until I say, okay, I'm gonna focus. And so what I do now is that I help those businesses prepare for future exit, but a long time before they even consider it, in the sense that there are structural issues that are costing the business owners, no matter they want to sell the business or not. Issues like customer concentration or revenue unpredictability, founder dependency, lack of acquisition system. All this is costing the the business and the business owner, and it's completely tanking the valuation once they want to go to market. So this is where my work is. And yeah. And I like the title of the podcast today because it's exactly the title of my book where I explain all of these issues.
Well, one thing that brings my attention, Muriel, is that you bring your expertise from a different country into the United States, and I think that's a very valuable asset to have to begin with, because sometimes um, I feel that we think that the world the world is round and everybody does things the same way or should do things the same way. And in your case, that might be, like the way that you evaluate a business in France or a business in UK or a business in the States um, may have very many similarities. But for the benefit of our audience that are listening to this, and perhaps it's the first time they heard the term of valuation gap, because let's face it, a lot of people, they go into business, they set up business, but they never think of exit strategy. Maybe because they're young at the beginning and they don't think that they think they're immortal, or they don't even think that, later down the road, especially entrepreneurs that are born, they like to think about 10 different ideas and they want to sell and buy another business. So in like lame terms or basic terms, what is an evaluation gap?
So the valuation gap is, I think, exactly what you mentioned in the intro. It's the difference between what the seller wants for his hard work. For example, there's a service business, construction business, he wants to get, for example, $1 million for his business. And the business broker that will help him go to market will say, yeah, absolutely, I can get you that, $1 million. And then as a buyer, you will say, okay, this business seems okay. They say it's doing 500 K, a year in EBITDA. It's just a multiple of two. Like such a good deal. Um, I'm going to, sign the NDA and check and see the financial, and then you discover. Yeah, it just made me think about a really specific story. The photography studio, they wanted exactly $1 million. It was 500K in EBITDA. And when I checked the numbers, I say, okay, what about 2025? Can I see the P&L? You gave me a P&L from like 2021 to 2024 or even 2023. That was really in the past. What's happened in 2024, 2025? And then I found out they were not making any revenue on these 2 years. So here is a really good valuation gap. For me, a business like this worth zero. It doesn't worth $1 million because there is no repeatable revenue. There's just a reputation and no more revenue coming in. I will not buy a business like this. But maybe if I am being more, I look into more details because I stopped right there when I knew there were no revenue for the past 2 years. But maybe another sellers will say, okay, they will go deeper and maybe they will make an offer for, I don't know, 200K, 300K, and the seller will be happy. But you see the valuation gap is there. They want $1 million and they'll get either nothing or a lot less than, and the idea is to close that gap, not to be lowering your expectation. For example, the photography studio, I'd love to give him $1 million for his hard work, but he needs to be reactivating the business, ensuring there is predictable revenues, no customer concentration, less founder dependency. And yeah, so that's the work to do to close the valuation gap.
A quick question for you because I have actually last week I took my dog to a groomer, and it happens this groomer has three locations and she wants to sell one of her locations. And she is a completely at a loss on how to go about it. She has gotten some offers, but the really, really low bowling of what she expects to get. And if of course people that they don't even have like a grooming experience to even know exactly what they're getting themselves into when they're trying to buy her business. Um, and I'm thinking to myself while you're talking about all of this, what should an entrepreneur or a business owner look at presenting to even start the process of posting their business for sale?
Yes, I think it's a really good question. So you say that you're the person as a grooming business, 3 locations, she want to sell one, and
Mm-hmm.
she's been receiving some offer already. First of all, I'm not surprised because when I see my business buying community, like I'm part of, there are thousands of, like even employees that are considering becoming entrepreneurs through acquisition, and they
Mm-hmm.
are targeting those sort of businesses. So first thing she can be doing. So is she the one perform? Sorry, I have some question to understand. Like, is she the one doing the work, or she's already have some employee
She,
groomers doing the work?
she does have employees. She has three locations and she basically works mostly on one of the locations. In the location she wants to sell, she does have, I think, three employees.
So already this is a really good sign. It means that it's founder independent and it does not, either rely on only one key employees. There are three. So this is great. The second thing, how are the how does she make the revenue? Like, is there any membership? Is it one-off? How does the
No,
revenue?
it's independent one-off sales, but her revenues are around 160 to 180,000 a year. And I
But
don't want
how
to take
does
up the
she make
whole.
the revenue? How does she makes the revenue? Like with how many clients? And is there any concentration? And does she know every month how she's gonna make? Or is it, like people are
I don't
coming
have,
once and
yeah,
never.
I don't have all of the details, but I think offline after this podcast we can definitely set up some kind of a conversation and see where we
Yeah, but so to answer for today's listener, let's say if she implemented some membership, like
Mhm,
for example, or like in France we called it like some fidelity card. I
mhm,
don't really hear that term here in the US, but if you are, faithful to the business, you like to bring your dog, every month or every, how
mhm,
often that it needs to come, then you get a discount, or after sometimes you get a free grooming. Let's say
mhm,
she has this implemented, and so she expects, I don't know, maybe 50 clients that are coming regularly. This is really good because you can predict a future, a buyer could absolutely predict and say, okay, great. So I know that every month there is this 50 customers coming. They are faithful to the business. They're bringing about 10, 12 $1,000 in revenue. I will get this cash flow. This is great. Um, do you know about the offer she was getting for it?
Not very much. No, I don't have all of the details, but I know that they were like lowballing from what her revenue is.
Okay, because in the range from, if it's the ideal scenario, no founder dependency, no customer concentration, she keeps bringing new customer as well with no referral. Like she has an acquisition system online, for example, an online booking, all of that. And the revenue are predictable. Um, if she's still getting low offer, maybe she didn't try to go formally to the market to actually get more qualified buyers. But there is also something that can lower a bit the valuation, and this is how it is. A revenue of 160,000 a year bring maybe an EBITDA of, let's say at best, maybe 80,000. This doesn't trade at a 6 or 8 multiple, maybe a 2 or 3, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah,
It
that's good.
depends on the EBITDA. I would say maybe a good 3. So she will get the same. She's getting 180,000 in revenue. She will get 180,000 but if she grow the business, or if she sell all the location, let's say, if she create more, then she could sell it for more, or even at a better multiple.
Mhm, mhm. We can
And,
hear
and,
you,
and
Edith.
and if, for example, she doesn't have the acquisition system, or the people are not coming every month, like we cannot predict, then she can work on that first.
Feeling overwhelmed by your to do list? Emails, scheduling meetings, managing customer inquiries, social media. The list never ends. But guess what? You don't have to do it all. Let a virtual assistant from Business Essentials, Virtual Assistant, help you say goodbye to the mundane task of running your business and reclaim your passion over essentials. From administrative tasks, customer support, social media, marketing, and more, we've got you covered. It's like having an extra pair of hands without the overhead. Ready to work smarter, not harder? Visit us today at businessessentialsva.biz. Again, businessessentialsva.biz, and get the help you need today.
One quick question for you, Muriel. I'm wondering if, of course, businesses all operate differently, but is there perhaps a simpler test where you can begin to measure where you might be with this valuation gap, like some questions you can assess as a business owner? We're talking a lot about dependencies and like systems. So are there simple questions where
Like a template.
yes,
Yeah,
like a
there
template
are
that
a lot of questions. I actually have two resources for that.
Okay.
Like on my website, I have the scorecard. It's
okay.
I think 5 or 6 questions with multiple choice. Just you select what you think you are, and you get a score that gives you already an indication of what you should be focusing on, what should be your first priority. That's the first thing. Then it concerns the revenue, the customer concentration, the founder dependency. It's really good. It's at exit3dstudio.com /scorecard. In my book, there's even more questions. After each chapter, you get a set of like 5 to 8 questions where you can again score yourself, and for each and every structural issues, you get also a score and know what to do about it. If we take, for example, if one person will have a very low score for customer concentration because the entrepreneur is working maybe with 12 clients, but 3 of them bring 80% of the revenues. So, like let's say this is the situation. Actually, this is a comfortable situation sometimes for the entrepreneur, like thinking, oh, great, I have some great client that bring me 50% of my revenue. But when you look at it more seriously, if you lose that client yourself, you're losing also 50% of your revenue. So it's a big risk. And if you ever consider to sell, or at least if you're taking the buyer lens on your business, this is something you will correct immediately. You will diversify your portfolio. You will, build an acquisition engine. Another person, if I give another example for founder dependency, for example, someone who will rely a lot on networking and referral and just being the person that bring the sales and the client, maybe again, like starting to create an acquisition engine online to attract client that way, to not be too dependent on the founder, because days where or weeks, if it goes on vacation or something or gets sick, then the business stop literally.
Yeah, that's really good information, Muriel, and I'm glad that we're having this conversation. I cannot tell you how many times I come across people that um, they don't have a vague idea of how to evaluate their business. They just think of,
the
top of a
revenue.
head that their business is worth this much money without really doing the evaluation in a more methodical process. But Muriel, you say something about a term that you use, that founder dependency silently compress a multiple. What exactly does that mean?
That means that buyers discount founder-dependent business because two things. Either, in the example of the pet grooming, either there is a pet groomer that want to buy the business, then it will be buying himself a job and maybe he'll be happy to be the operator. But a lot of buyers are looking to acquire what we call a turnkey business, where you can, okay, you are there sometimes, see what's going on, but you are not there constantly. And so that's the first thing. You will not attract as much buyers for your business, and there is also, so we discount that risk also. That's why we lower the multiple, because we know that when the founder will go, some client will leave as well, possibly some team members will leave as well, because everything is dependent on the founder. Usually, in these scenarios, there is a long transition to anticipate. Like you need to plan for a long transition, maybe 1 year or 2 years, to have the seller there with the new owners for the transition. So they are not losing the client. It is able to, the buyer is able to build the relationship with the client as well, and the employees. In all cases, you always have a transition, but with very, heavily founder-dependent business, it lasts a very long time.
Can I ask this question? I'm sorry.
Oh, so sorry. Just real quick, Muriel. When you're starting to establish that founder independency, what's the best way to approach that? Is it like keeping documentation? Is it, because in the example of the groomer, you asked if there was employees, and so those employees are trained, but is it like a requirement or to have that training documented? How would that, what's the first step towards that?
That will add a
that's
number
a really
two.
good point. Yeah, that's a really good point. Absolutely. In the case of pet grooming, where you cannot set up an automation, let's say, you need a person to perform the grooming. Yes, you need, well, first of all, you need to hire someone who is certified, qualified for it. But if there is a special way to do it, a signature, grooming type, yeah, you need to create some sort of training and documentation. It depends what is it, but we call, SOPs. We can create SOPs, but we can also create full training as well, to ensure that the business keep running as it should, no matter an employee leaves or join the company.
And I have a part two to this question that Edith asked, and is, should the founder stay on board as a consultant, perhaps, with the buyer to kind of like smooth the transition, number one. And number two is, of course, when you have employees and you have clients that are, buying because of this founder, or employees that are staying because of this founder, is it suggested then that this seller stay on board for a period?
Yeah, it's a good point. So it will depend on the deal that is signed, but the seller and buyer will have to agree on the best, transition. It is normal to have a few weeks or a few months as the default transition, and to extend that to a longer period. Then why not? If the buyer still need the seller and the seller agree, it could be consulting. What I know is that for SBA deals, the transition normally should be up to 12 months.
Okay.
But also if, let's say the transition should be 3 months, and so it is included in the purchase agreement and the price of the deal. So the seller will not get more money for being there for the 3 months because it's already priced. But any extra, if they agree and want, they can set up, yes, a consulting fee and be available. But
Okay. That
usually, yeah, it can happen. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially if you want the longevity of that business to, to leave that legacy going on. Is I myself, I can see myself like staying on board until the transition takes over in a smooth way. Not sure that many entrepreneurs prefer it that way because some people they just want to give you the keys and walk out because they're stressed out
Yes.
over the business. They just want to sell it and move on. But what you're saying makes a lot of sense. Now, I want to shift a little bit because I do want to also highlight of your experience. And, within your experience, you walked away from a sign offer. Um,
Mhm.
what did that experience teach you?
Well, I think first of all, that teach me the whole process of business buying because I was so close. Like I have seen exactly how what I needed to look at, in the business, not just okay, do I have a good website and what they tells me. No, I needed to do some in-depth analysis. So I think that made me be more really thorough into analyzing a business, checking their operation, checking their customers,
Mm-hmm.
checking, yeah, the even what they were hiding me. They were hiding things. I had to be the one asking for the, how
Mm.
do we say, like the customer, the part of the revenue per customers. They didn't want to give me that. This is how I was able to uncover that, to discover that I had like a 40% logo churn, monthly. That was terrible. Like
Mm.
they were not able to keep their customers.
Mm-hmm.
So that teach me that to really be a detective into the a business I was going to buy, and yeah, I would say that. And
Mhm.
also give me, I think, the confidence to start something new in the US because so far I only had like I was working with, I was used to having a French business, and so this is interesting.
That's awesome. That's awesome,
It,
Muriel. And we're
yeah.
we're we're thankful to have you in the pockets and to have you in the States teaching us a little bit more about this.
Yes.
For the sake of time, because we like to keep our podcast to 30 minutes, what would you say are the three main takeaways from the conversation that we had today that the entrepreneurs can walk away with?
The three takeaways could be like if you feel your business is founder dependent, you can start, document um, what is it that you do. Um, Also decide what you do with it. Like, is it just a documentation, like a SOP just in case?
Mhm.
Or are you going to delegate some of the work that you do to an employee or an assistant? Or you have a third choice. Is it something you can automate?
Mhm.
Like this day with AI and everything, you can automate absolutely a lot of things. Everything that is happening on the computer, you can automate it, you know. We're not there yet for pet grooming, but who knows, Like, uh, but yeah, I will say those things like to work on the founder dependency. It's important and decide you have three ways, yes. And if anything, we can, uh, you can take the scorecard or read the first chapter. Oh,
All right, yes, and we forgot about that too, that you do have a book coming.
I just
Okay.
had something that came right in front. I thought I was losing you. I thought that we were like disconnected. I had something coming up on my screen. Yes, I wanted to say, because we mentioned the Valuation Gap, which is my book, but I also offer there is a free chapter on my website at
All right. Wonderful.
exit3dstudio.com/the-valuation-gap. But I
And
think
we'll
we'll
add
add it in
that.
the notes. Yeah.
And we'll add that to our show notes as well, so people can easily come to your website and get the free resource.
Yes.
Sounds
And Maria,
good.
where can our audience connect with you? What is the best way to connect with you?
So the best way to connect with me is on LinkedIn. Um, Muriel Touati, you will find me. And I have just created a new YouTube channel to be able to repost different podcasts I'm going on. So a YouTube channel in English called Exit 3D Insights. And
I like that.
so you can go and check it out. It's just getting built at the moment, but I have prepared some videos, and plus I will add all the different show I am being interviewed.
That's good.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, Muriel, thank you so much for being in Unstuck Your Business. This is definitely a great, great topic, and I really, really enjoy the way you broke it down for our audience. Because again, this is a topic we all go full force, high motivated to go into business, but we don't think about, hey, when we want to exit the business, what is the best process to go through, do it
Yeah.
efficiently. So thank you so much for sharing your experience, for sharing your knowledge, and we hope to sometime perhaps have you back for part two.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. I will just add something quickly. It's about, yes, preparing for an exit, but also to run a business that is less dependent on you. So having a business that is running without you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Muriel.
you.
If you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode, and for that, we want to thank you. Let us know what you think about today's topic by leaving us a comment and a review of our podcast.
And if you found some value on the information shared in this podcast, please subscribe and share. And you can find us on our Facebook page, Unstuck Your Business, and join the conversation and engage with other entrepreneurs, as together we help each other unstuck our business. Until next time.
Until next time.